Hey guys, welcome back. It's Games. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a pawn that can move to the mouse position. First of all, guys, I would like to thank you for all your support. We have reached the 600 subscribers. Don't forget, our main goal is to reach 1,000 of subscribers. And don't skip the ads that help our channel. And don't forget to comment down below every time needed. All right, so let's run the game first. So we could move around, and this is perfect. So let's close this. Now we are going to pawn, add a child node, an area, and we add a collision shape. We duplicate it. We are going to rename the first one detector zone. The second one, I'm going to call it hitbox to take the damage. All right. After that, we'll give a shape to that detector zone. Make it bigger, and you can change the color. All right. Now lock it. For the hitbox, we'll make it smaller to fit the pawn size, as you can see, because the hitbox takes the damage, while the detector zone detects which area enter inside. Add another child node, a progress bar, add another child again. We are looking for a navigation agent 2D. Okay, add another child node. We are looking for a marker 2D and add also a button. All right, those are the things we need. Okay, add another child node. I'm looking for a label. So, all right, now we are starting with the label. I'm going to text and just put a dot. Now we are going to theme overrides. We are going to outline size. I'm going to put a 10 on outline size, and the font, the font color, I'm going to change it to yellow since my pawn is a yellow pawn. So I'm changing the font size to 80, or you can even make something bigger. Change the texture to nearest. All right. Nice. Put it on top, right? Like this. Now rename it as a selector or select indicator. For me, I'm naming, you can name it clearly indicator or select indicator or whatever. So for the button, I'm going to size it to the pawn size. Then I'm going to make it invisible. So I'm going to visibility, modulate, and reduce the modulation alpha to 0. All right. Now I lock it. All right. Change also the process mode to always. That means I can press the button anytime. So I'm going to progress bar. I'm going to move it also between the player and that small dot. So first I'm going to change the side in transform. I'm going to make it 100 by 10. It's smaller. Now resize it there. All right. The max value I'm changing to 10. And if you go to value, you can change it also. Now let's go to theme override, style, background, and choose the style box flat. Okay, if you need a video about this, I can explain you how to customize a progress bar. So here I'm just doing the things literally faster than I should. My main goal today is to explain to you how to create a character who can move on its own or can move to a mouse click from his source position to a mouse click. So if you request a tutorial about how to customize a progress bar, you can just let me know down in the comments. All right, because this takes a lot of time to make. So now I can explain to you. The progress bar is to check the player's life, the pawn life. The navigation agent 2D is the node we are using to navigate on top of the world. I can say on the grass and whatever. Okay. I'm going to customize the navigation agent 2D. I'm going to change the path desired to 100, the target distance to 5, and some other customization. And again, if you request a slower video and more explanation about this, you can just let me know down in the comment. So for me, I'm just doing everything really quickly here. All right. I'm just playing around with the parameters, just changing some few things. All right. So my main idea for my pawn is when I click on it, it activates. Then when I click on another pawn, the first one deactivates and the second one activates. It's a matter of selecting units, but by click, not by a selector. Maybe later on I'll show you how to select using a rectangle. All right. Now that we have all of this, let's save and now go back to Word 2. What you're going to do is to create a navigation layer for our player, where to move, because the navigation agent 2D needs somewhere where to walk. So go to Tileset, navigation layer, and add an element. All right. Now select all the layers. For me, I select 5. You can select more. It doesn't really matter. After that, you can go to tile map where there is the grass, go to tile set. When you go to paint and on select property, down there you can see navigation. In navigation, we have our navigation layer 0. I can just draw it quickly. Okay. I put it really fast. As you can see, that blue part on the grass, that's where our player can walk. You can put also on the bridge since the player can walk on the bridge. Okay. After doing that, I attach a script. Now we just gonna drag and drop all these elements and all right, perfect. Now that I have all of this, start creating variables. The first one, we are going to create a target in a maze. So to do so, I'm going to create a export variables that we are going to call goblin torch. The goblin torch will be a node 2D, and for now is equal to null. Just copy the first line and we are going to duplicate it. All right, now just rename the second one. We can call Goblin TNT and the last one Goblin Barret. All right, go a little bit down here. Now we are going to create variables for the basics. I can say like life, speed, and so on. So first one is variable life, and I want my pound life to be the maximum is 10, and the speed to 210. The variable state is equal to 0 for idle animation, and so on. I'll show you later. Okay. Now, other variable is variable for the last mouse position. Since my pawn is supposed to move to my last click, I can say to my click position. So I'm going to create a var that I'm going to call previous mouse position, and it should be a vector 2D since it's position that contain a y and x value. So is a vector 2. Then I'm going to copy it and change the current click position. Okay, after that, we create again variable for the pawn state. This one is the town for when the pawn is busy. Let's say you click on it, or the pawn is already building or destroying or collecting wood. So I want my pawn to notify me when it's busy or it can do some things. Okay, so I'm creating var busy and false. All right. Now let's go down here. So let's create other variables to which kind of to check if it's moving. This is mostly is for the animation run or to set all the other states. So I'm creating a variable. I'm going to call it var is moving. Then default is false. All right. Now let's create a function. This function, I'm going to call it a function seeker setup. What it does is every time I'm going to call this function is a user-defined function. Every time I'm going to call this function, my player is going to move, is going to set a position or is going to look for that target. So what you do in this block of code is if the current click position Then we do the navigation target position is equal to current click. That means where we clicked. Now we create another function. The function ready is an inbuilt function. We set our progress bar max value to be equal to the life that is equal to 10. Okay, now if I go to my pawn, I'm going to set it in a group, then make it global. Again, if the video is too fast for you, you can just slow it down in your YouTube, or I guess you know how to do it. You can just slow it down, or you can pause the video, take notes, and so on. Okay. Now in my ready function, I'm going to add it to group pawn and obstacles. So you can see in the video how to add a group. And don't forget to always make your group global, especially for my code. I don't know for any game you're making, but for me, every time I always make it global. After our block of ready, I'm going to add this pawn to a list. I'm going to create a string to contain every pawn that that has been created or added to my game anytime. Because my main idea is every time a pawn is spawned in the game, is going to be added to an array to be contained inside. Now create a function physics process delta, then check if is moving, then you can just do navigation.get velocity dot length is greater than 0. Now check if is moving, anim dot animation is, if the animation is different from run, that means it has to play run, of course. I forgot to put the condition if. Okay, now anim dot animation is equal to run. All right, so simple it is. I'm just going to say else if animation is different from this time is idle. I can add more later as for repair, chop the tree, and so on maybe later. So here I'm just dealing with idle. And all right, now we are in the animations. We gotta now rename it. This first one is run, and I'm doing it very quickly. If you can just make it by yourself. As you can see, we have idle, chop, and lift up, repair, and run, so on. Just changing some few parameters such as speeds per frame and so on. Now let's go to the script. Back to our script. You can see there on all pawns is because I didn't create the array yet. That's why it's showing an error. So for now on, just use the select. Select is my label that I just declare on top there. I'm going to set my select to do. That means every time do is true, my select can be visible. Every time my do is equal to false, my select become invisible. So then after that, I'm going to add my pawn to the group pawn, basically. So let's set our progress bar value, not the max value this time, our value to life. So every frame, every time the life going to change, our progress bar is going to reflect it. So in this condition, I'm going to do if do is equal to true. Don't forget to put the double equal to check when is a condition. If navigation is navigation finish, we return. So now previous click position is equal to current click position. Let's create variable. We are going to call it a current agent position is equal to global position. Then next path position, I guess, will be equal to the navigation dot get next path to position. All right, down here I'm going to create a variable that I'm going to call new velocity. Guys, I'm sorry if I can explain everything to you because just these codes are more complicated for beginners, especially. Maybe if you are medium or advanced, you can understand this line of code. That's why I'll just share the code with you in a link that you can download and add to your game if you're trying to make the same game as I. So that would be very easy for you. Then at the end of this block, I'm just going to say move and slide. All right. Now after that, I need to check if my anim can flip from left to side. So I will just do it in this line of code. I will say anim flip is equal to false if velocity.x is greater than 0 and otherwise else is equal to true. All right. I think this part is done and smooth. Okay. So what next now? I'm going to... Okay. Now, let's go to navigation. I'm going to the signals. I'm going to look for this signal called velocity computed and connected to my code. Okay. Again, this is an advanced kind of code, so it doesn't really matter if I explain it to you because you won't really understand. So what I'm going to do is every time the velocity computed, my actual velocity become equal to the safe velocity. So what to do now? I'm going to call if navigation dot avoidance enable is to, okay, basically, let's just say this function, this signal, these conditions are made for the player. I can say the pawn actually I'm creating, if they are interacting or they are colliding with another pawn with the same properties, they should avoid each other. So that's why I'm creating this line of code to set them to stop, to run, to get distance, and so on. That's what this line of code do basically. Okay. As you can see, all pawn is not declared yet. That means my function hasn't been declared. Then my signal is already here. Okay, so down here, let's create state machine. Is for me the basic way to create my state machine. I don't know how other people made it, but for me, I just check my state, then run a certain animation. Then since I don't use the animation player, I'm used to the animated sprite 2D. I just use this basic way for me. Since I started Godot 1 year ago, I'm used to this way of making it. All right, let's just cut it, and I need it to be in the physics process. All right, now just copy this part. Oh, what happened? Oh, again. Let's copy this part. Then what we can do is just copy and paste, and duplicate it again. So for the second one, if state is equal to 1, that means it's running. If state is equal to 2, is chopping. That means chopping the tree, of course. Then if state is equal to 3, is repairing. So just call it repair according to the animation you made. Duplicate again, and this one we are going to call it lift. Is for the state 4. Then for the final steps, the state 5, I'm going to lift and run. All right. Sounds perfect to me, but I haven't created this array. So now down here, I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it is an inbuilt function. So just inputs every time an input is done. So for input, I want to check if I click is action just pressed. I haven't created, so go to project setting, in the input map, add an action and going to call it click. You can press, and here I'm going to look for left mouse button, click OK. Let's close this, and now if I open my codes, you can see click. Now perfect. So every time I will be clicking, I will call my function seeker setup to push my pawn to go to a certain position, that my mouse last click position. All right, then if do is equal to true and busy is equal to false, that means it can move. If it's not busy, of course, then the current click position is equal to the global mouse position. All right, good to me. All right, now let's label this. I used to put a comment on top of my block of code to don't forget if maybe there is a mistake, I can just check in the comment and know which kind of block of code I need to adjust for my game to run. All right, now I'm going to connect the signal on area entered. I need to detect if an area entered my detector zone. So just connect the signal. Check if any entrance in the area. Okay, very basic for me. Now, let's leave it like that for now. So what to do right now is to check the function live. I'm going to create a function that I'm going to call live pound. Then in this function, when I call this function, live will be subtract by 1, and in the same function, check if the live is less or equal than 0, and call a function called die. We haven't created that function yet, so that's why we can see this mistake or error signal happening. Let's create another function, pound attacked barrel. So this function is a little bit different from what I thought about, because I created two functions to do almost the same things, but the difference is they subtract life differently. For the first one is for the basics attacks, and the second one is it takes more because it subtract from the life 5. Okay, now let's create another function that we are going to call pound life pound attacked torch. Okay, this one is different also. So let's say the first one is for the basic attack, the second one is for a major attack, and for this one I can say a medium one. Then check if instance valid pound. I can call a function called knockback. I will show you what a knockback function later on. All right, and subtract live 4. As I said, is kind of a medium function, and check if live is less or equal than 0. We use the function die. We call the function die. Okay, small mistake. I didn't use indentation. Now let's create this function called function die, and I'm going to call this line of code called Q-free. Q-free is used in Godot to free an object or to delete it, as you can see. So Q-free is for deleting, or I can say killing in my logic of game. All right, now we have the knockback function and so on. So let's go to button first and connect this signal called pressed. When my button is pressed, in this line of code, I would like when I press my button to change the activation of my pound. So I'm going just to create a function called activate. I haven't created it yet. So let's create first the knockback function. Functions, because I need more than one function for knockback. Knockback torch. So what is a knockback function? A knockback is, I bet you know already, is when my player would be attacked, is to create kind of an effect of an impact when you have been attacked. So you go in the opposite direction. Let's say you receive a punch, so you are going behind or you're falling down. So in our game, you can fall down. So the thing is, I'm going to push my pawn in the opposite direction. And to do so is to create a var called knock direction that I make it short, saying knocked here. We take our pound global position minus the the target that attackers, that the goblin dodge, and we normalize that. After that, to create now that effect, we adjust our velocity. We say velocity is equal to knock direction into 500, 800, whatever you want. It depends on the force of the impact that you want to create. You can put 1000 on 1000, but I recommend you to put a value in the hundreds, maximum 900. So let's create variables to track which bound is activated. So it's time now to create. Now we create a static var called all pound. So all pounds is a array that's going to contain all my pound every time the game starts or every time a pound is instantiated. Another variable that I'm going to make is called last active index. So let me basically explain to you what exactly it's going to happen. Is every time I press on my pound, is going to check in the array which pound is on top of the list by checking the index of an array. I bet for those who have basics of coding already know what I'm talking about. So by checking which index of array is on top, or let's say the 0 index, is going to activate that one every time. Then every time they press on it, do become equal to 0. That means our do become to false. That means we deactivate the previous one to activate the next one on which we click. So now after that, I create a function called activate. If the last index, that's what I already explained to you, as you can see on this line of code. If this code is too complicated for you, you can just copy and paste. And easily for me, when I was learning Godot, when I was reading the documentations on how all of this works, I just kind of take code by code, function by function, line by line, trying to understand what exactly happened on this line, what exactly happened on that line. So if I do that with you guys, I'm going to reach maybe 60 hours explaining to you every line of code that I'm making. You already see the video is long enough. It's 30 minutes of explanation of trying to explain, I can say, because I'm not really explaining anything. I'm just showing you how to create a pound moving to the last click mouse position. All right. So for this function activate, it's kind of a little bit complicated. I can say it's high level, even for those who already know how to code with GDScript, is a real mess. So let's create a active pound, I can say. To activate the pound, the do has to be true, of course. So the last index is equal to all pounds. That finds. All right. Perfect. Now let's go on top of this and let's run our game. A small mistake, as you can see. My small mistake is on this line, so let's try to find out what exactly happened. I can't find it. Okay, I'm trying to check if anim.flip is equal to false if velocity is greater than 0. So I guess my mistake comes from the flip. I didn't check my flip edge because I want to flip my flip edge, not just a flip. All right, now let's try to go on top there. Click on my pound. As you can see the debug. We can see already the path, but something's wrong, is it not moving. So to do so is, I don't only need to create a map for the grass, but I need also to create for the ground 2, I can say, no, the ground 1, I guess. Both the ground, just I'm going to draw again that blue navigation layer on the ground also. So let me do it fast and show you. All right, now that is drawn, let's run the game again. All right, nice. So I received a comment lately because I already asked people why my Godot was running so slow. So they told me it's because I'm running on mobile, not on